Okay.
Lamar Jackson takes the Browns to the Super Bowl. Philly has a new leading man, and are the Bills the best team in the AFC? All that and more on this episode of Unscripted.
Second time you got me with it in my mouth. That's what she said.
So my I've been in Beezy's mouth twice already, and the episode just started. For those of you who are listening, I wish you were checking us out live because Beezy has really lost it. Hello, listener land. Welcome to the best damn fantasy podcast for your ears. I'm your host, Randall Kennedy. I'm joined, as always, by the gentleman on my left, Paul Undergard. You can find him in the casino. You can find him on Twitter, at Pauly Sleepers.
True story.
And the man on my right, Jake B. Song. You can find him in the kitchen. He'll be the one in the chef's hat.
Yeah.
He'll probably be the one with his fingers dangling over the donuts, kind of like Andy Reid. You can find him at DeBeezyBFF. All right, guys. So I mentioned in the opening that Lamar is so good, he did what no Cleveland quarterback could. He finally got the Browns to the Super Bowl.
Amazing. Amazing. He said he had cramps. We've all seen that run. We've all done that run. You've all had that. I better run now.
The best was when he told that whoever was in front of the door to get the fuck out of the way, like he did the hand thing.
Right.
He's like, damn, bro, that ain't cramps. You're taking a shit.
And Odell was like,
he was merciless.
Can I come?
Odell was kind of confusing to me today on Twitter. I don't know what he was angling for. Odell's a weird cat. I'll just leave it at that.
He is.
Yeah, we've all had that run, and it was followed by another run. Yeah, I can't remember the last time a professional athlete had cramps and he left the sideline. Come on now.
Yeah, let's stop beating around the bush here.
He got rid of what he needed to get rid of because he came back on the field and threw a dart.
Now, do you think he stayed fully uniformed to take it? Like he kept his helmet on and everything?
Maybe.
Dude, I'm telling you.
He hit up San Bernardino Brown really good.
Now let me tell you this. I had a playoff game going where I was up by 8 points. The kid had come back from like a 56-point deficit. I thought I was screwed. He had Lamar. Lamar going to take a dump in the game saved my playoff run because he only got 2 points after that, and they kicked the game-winning field goal. So thank you for whatever Lamar ate.
Well, I'll tell you what, that connection he had with San Bernardino Brown. For those of you who don't follow us on Twitter, shame on you. We have a friend of the program, D Brown. He re-nicknamed Hollywood Brown San Bernardino Brown. I thought that was brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah, it's really good.
That connection late in the game actually put me over the top in a match against Fantasy Stoner.
Yeah,
which was pretty awesome considering he beat me in Son of a Gun. So this is the second year in a row he's put me out of the playoffs in Son of a Gun.
Woof. I got to bring up something. You guys got to follow this girl Nina at Nina CAA _J on Twitter. I think that she follows a lot of us too. She's emerged lately as a very clever girl and does some really, really funny posts about fantasy football. She did one about Cam Akers and the Rams D that she started against one of the top seed people, and she dubs in these foreign videos. Have you seen this?
No.
So she's got one with the Rams D, and it's this guy on a Mexican TV station talking about starting Cam Akers and the Rams D, and then he's laughing about it. You got to watch this. And then she did one about Lamar Jackson, and this guy's like in a Russian dance club, and this gal's interviewing him. And I mean, it's all foreign talk, and she's dubbed it in. And I was down. I needed 30 points from Lamar, but unfortunately, Jude left the game to take a fucking shit. I never thought my QB having diarrhea would knock me out of the playoffs. It's definitely unfortunate, but it is what it is. On to next year. He finished pooping. What? Lamar returned to the game. Are you fucking serious? Yeah, he scored another 6 points on a touchdown pass. The guy starts dancing and laughing. I'm sorry. It's just, you got to go check out these two videos. It's some of the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Are the Ravens too reliant on Lamar Jackson?
I can't think of a team more reliant on one player on the planet.
I mean, if he goes down, they're sunk.
Yeah, they're done.
We already saw what Robert Griffin can do.
Yeah.
And
they lost the other kid. What the hell's his name?
You're talking about McSorley?
McSorley, yeah.
Yeah.
They lost him last night with a knee injury.
If you think he can get you through the playoffs, you are sorely mistaken.
Woof.
I thought Dan Bailey was going to get my wolf of the week, but I think Paulie just stole it from him.
Yeah, he did.
You can say that about a lot of quarterbacks, though. I mean, are the Packers going to be able to continue without Aaron Rodgers? Are the Seahawks going to be able to continue without Russell Wilson? But he's such a high percentage of that offense. I mean, what did he throw? 3 passes in the first 20 minutes?
Yeah, their passing game is just, it's almost non-existent.
It's laughable.
It relies on broken plays and shots downfield.
He almost had as many completions as he had rushing attempts.
Shout out to Mark Andrews, though, for learning that he needs to keep his eyes on Lamar and keep the play alive and come back into spots where he's going to be able to be open and take the ball. I mean, that's something you have to do with these scrambling quarterbacks. I talk about it all the time. You got to come back to them. You got to, I mean, if the route's broken and it's done, you've already ran your route, you've got to come back to the quarterback. And he did that really well on several plays that were crucial. I don't remember what his final stat line was like for fantasy, but
pretty sure it was like 5 for 78.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. You know, not a blow up game or anything, but a couple of those catches were crucial, and it was because Andrews watched Lamar and came back to him. So I did notice that.
I tell you what I noticed, and maybe it has gone under the radar. Baker Mayfield played phenomenal football.
He did.
And
thank you for bringing this up.
Kevin Stefanski has really turned him around, sort of the way he turned Cousins around. His footwork was great. I mean, he was calm. He was poised under pressure. Really, the Browns on offense, they're one of the best teams in the league. It's their defense that's letting them down. Like the last 3 games, they've given up 38, 38, and 47 points. That's not sustainable heading into the playoffs.
No.
Well, Denzel Ward was out. That hurts. But there wasn't much pressure. You've got to put pressure on the quarterback. It's one thing that they were struggling with, and it's, if you watch the Colts game, the Raiders were very much struggling with as well.
The Raiders put about as much they had about as much pressure as a hotel shower head.
Yeah.
They touched Phillip Rivers once. It was a pseudo knockdown. So they got to him and put hands on him one time.
I remember 2 weeks ago I told you that the Colts were going to sweep the Texans, and you said they weren't.
That's true.
I
did.
The Colts are playing really good right now. Phillip Rivers is playing really well, and if you're not going to put hands on him, he's just going to carve you up.
Yep.
He can still do that. And Jonathan Taylor waking up is
huge.
Not hurting. Yeah, it's not hurting things at all.
Huge.
Woo! God, he looked good.
And he can't say we didn't say it was coming, baby.
I mean, this podcast has been screaming for you to go out and trade for Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
So if you did, kudos to you. If you didn't, shame on you. That window's closed. You can still overpay for him, but no one's selling him cheap anymore. Did you guys see the run where he cut back and he outran the angle on not one but 2 defenders? Just juiced them. yeah, he's phenomenal.
On that big run, he showed off his 4.38 speed with 4 defenders nipping at his heels. I think he's the only player now in the league to have clocked 20 miles an hour 4 times.
5
times.
5 times.
Yeah.
All right.
5 times. That's it.
One of those times we know was a run from the quarterback to the sideline. So if you think about getting up to 20 miles an hour on a long 60-yard run, that's one thing. But we've seen him do it on a 4-yard run to the sideline. That's a lot less time to get up to that speed. The man is going to be good.
Yep.
The man's already good. I mentioned that in our chat today that he was the only player to do that 5 times. For some perspective, you guys out there, if you have a treadmill at home, crank it up to like 8 or 9 miles per hour and try to keep up. And then think about he's going more than double that. And then think about him being 230 pounds. That's just people that big aren't supposed to move like that.
No.
You love to see it.
You definitely love to see it.
And also one of the best efficiencies in the passing game in the league for running backs as well. As a matter of fact, Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor are 2 of the 3 most efficient backs in the passing game this year. So that's where we make our money is with those targets. We love the targets more than the touches. I saw something one time that said that a target, and it's not even just if it's caught or not or what they do with it, but a target is worth 1.77 more times value than a carry.
Yep.
That's even if you drop the damn ball. I mean, it's amazing.
He has caught 30 of 31 targets.
Man, somebody said he couldn't catch a football. Actually, like thousands of people said that.
That was a huge knock on him.
Just because your player that you're evaluating in college doesn't do something doesn't mean they can't do something. Wisconsin is not known for that. They don't use the running back in that capacity. So you can't knock a player for something that he hasn't been asked to do.
Look at James White. He didn't catch the ball in college. And
jeez.
Yeah.
And shame on them. They should have been throwing it to him.
Exactly. Yeah, he's a phenomenal player. I think he has 739 yards after contact this year.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can't imagine what his stats would look like had they been feeding him the ball from the jump.
And more of those big runs are coming. Well, Jackson, I talked about it on his podcast. He wasn't processing. You can rewind back several episodes where I was worried as a fan because I saw some Trent Richardson there.
We talked about it, yeah.
I saw him running into the back of his lineman and not hitting the holes. I saw him, tripping over his own feet. But when you see a player like that, that's new to the game. They talk about the speed of the game. All the pros, all the Hall of Famers talk about it all the time. All the vets talk about it all the time, adjusting the speed of the game. There's a reason why they always say that, because you sometimes cannot process that. And when you see a player tripping over their feet, because their brain and their feet aren't in sync with the speed of the game yet, he's there now. He's gotten the speed of the game down, and it's a whole different ball game. Get used to those 60-yard runs. He's going to break big runs. That offensive line is built to make it happen, and he's built to get past the second and third level of the defense very quickly. He's going to be the fastest guy on the field in some situations, in a lot of situations.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just a big, strong freak. Speaking of big, strong freaks, I want to move the chains a little bit and talk about the MVP race. Should Derrick Henry be in consideration? Should he be talked about more?
He won't be because it's always a quarterback. Yeah. But yes.
I think he should be, but
you're not wrong, but it hardly ever goes to a running back. I mean, who's the last running back to get MVP? It was Adrian Peterson, wasn't it?
Adrian Peterson. Yep. I think it was 2012. Henry has a chance to break the single season rushing record. I believe it's 2105. He has to average 191 yards his last 3 games to do it, but Look at the 3 defenses he gets.
Oh yeah, he's got a wild matchup. Green Bay,
Houston, and I think he gets Jacksonville again.
Like literally the bottom 3. I think
Yes.
I talked about it like 3 episodes ago, how good his playoff schedule was.
These are the teams that Montgomery just tore up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor gets Houston this week.
Yeah, I can't imagine the Colts don't boat race the Texans with no wide receivers.
Yeah, it's kind of hurting now. I mean, I don't know if Fuller had done his thing and Cooks got hurt when we talked about it before, but I definitely changed my view on them sweeping the Texans now. They've got the Steelers next week, but then they finish with the Jags. So, Taylor has 2 of those 3 guys finishing off the year.
And the Colts, how much do they want that opening week game back against the Jaguars?
Oh, I know, man. The team's been so hot and cold. It's been so – and I'm an anti-homer, and I've been saying that everybody's ranking them too high all year. They're starting to kind of prove me wrong, and that's good. I want to be wrong about it. I mean, I might be getting ahead of ourselves, but, spoiler alert, if we're going to do the game balls thing, my game balls are going to a bunch of Colts. They did great this week. I mean, that team that they played, the Raiders, is not, one of the top teams, but they still just
hot and cold.
They executed at every single facet of the game.
The Raiders are hot and cold. They beat the Chiefs. They lose to the Falcons.
Yeah,
they're a mixed bag.
But the Colts are getting hot right now. The Rivers is playing at his apex game. T.Y. Hilton, as a Colts fan, we have not seen T.Y. Hilton healthy in week 15 in 4 years. And he's playing for a contract, and he's playing well. Jonathan Taylor's finally breaking out. So we've got a lot of guys peaking now.
Let's be honest. Until the last 2 weeks, he was T.Y. Best Western. He has come out. You're
gonna make both really of your co-hosts spit take today? Jesus! He's spit out my lemonade.
He's playing really well.
Simply Light lemonade for the calorie conscious. Only 25 calories.
Oh, interesting.
I'm drinking Monster.
Trying to get some sponsorship here, people.
Poland Spring, baby, come at me.
The Raiders, I watched the Raiders secondary. They're completely undisciplined. I threw T.Y. Hilton out wherever I had him. It didn't help me in son of a gun. I still lost to Stoner. But yeah, he's healthy. He's developing a chemistry with Phillip Rivers. Those guys are playing their best football. I was bullish on this team in the preseason.
You were?
They do 2 things that you must do to win playoff football. They play defense and they run the football.
Yep.
Those 2 things can go on the road and win you games, and that's the recipe for beating teams like Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs.
You said the Colts could get to the Super Bowl this year, and I said I didn't think that was going to happen, but they are definitely a dark horse candidate to be able to compete and get to the Super Bowl right now, the way they're playing right now.
The AFC playoffs are going to be fascinating. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion that the Chiefs are going to get that number 1 seed, but the way the Dolphins took it to them in the second half and to start that game, they turned them over 5 times. They intercepted Mahomes 3 or 4 times.
And sacked him for a 40-yard loss.
Yeah, that sack was crazy. It reminded me of Bob Greasy in the Super Bowl. What was it, Super Bowl 3, where he just kept going back and back and back. And I think that was the Colts. Might not have been Super Bowl 3, but anyway, that was a big loss. And the Dolphins, they play really good defense. I don't know if the Dolphins are going to get in to the playoffs because their schedule to finish the season is so brutal. I think they finish up with the Bills, the Patriots, and the Raiders. In addition to playing the Chiefs this past week. But since we're talking about
the Ravens and the Pats are both beatable.
They're beatable, but which Raiders team are you getting?
Yeah.
The one that beat Kansas City or the one that lost to Atlanta?
Yeah, you never know.
Since we're talking about the AFC, I want to talk about your Steelers, BZ.
Shoot, baby.
This is December. This is the time you want to be playing your best football. The Steelers are not playing their best football. They've lost back-to-back games. They're dropping the football. They can't run the football. Connor was 10 for 18. They're not a balanced team. Their defense is going to give them a puncher's chance in just about any game. But are you concerned?
Yeah, I would say I'm concerned. Injuries are definitely starting to pile up a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. Losing Bud Dupree, that hurts. Joe Hayden's been out. That hurts. The offensive line is taking some hits. We got Pouncey back this weekend, which is, that's a big upgrade for their offensive line. He's the guy that, he reads the defenses. He calls out the audibles that the offensive line is doing. He basically is there. He's that spark. He's going to get in people's face. He's that nasty brawler. But they did lose. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but they did lose a guard. And, Connor doesn't look healthy to me, which is not a surprise. He looks like he's struggling. He's just doesn't have that same explosiveness, that same run that he was having at the beginning of the year where he just runs into people, bounces off guys. He doesn't look right. I think there's something there with that. The other guys, Snell looked good a few games ago, but it's looked terrible since. McFarland's nothing. Wide receivers are having issues with drops. There's a big Deontay Johnson thing this weekend. With him
How
dropping.
long did he get benched?
So he got benched for the first half, and then they brought him back in the second in the half, and third quarter, and literally immediately he received 4 targets from Ben and caught 3 of them. So I think that Deontay Johnson can't catch is just getting overblown something fierce. I mean, yes, I do understand he leads the league in drops with 12. But I think a lot has to do with his concentration, what he's trying to do as a receiver.
Absolutely what it is.
Because if you watch him, like a couple of his passes, the ball wasn't even in his hands and he was already looking upfield like he was getting ready to make his move. And when you do that, you're going to drop the freaking ball. Tomlin benched him. Tomlin said, you know what? Get your shit together. We'll get you back. Maybe we'll get you back out in the second half. The bottom line is that Steelers offense needs Deontay Johnson in. And
Tomlin threatened to do that.
Yes, he did.
Week.
Yep.
He said, I'm sorry, if you can't catch the ball, you're not going to be on the field. So he was obviously trying to ignite a fire with Deontay and get him to catch the ball, but he had to make sure that wasn't an idle threat. He had to make that threat actionable, and when he dropped those 3 balls, he had to bench him. And say what you want about Chris Collinsworth, but he said it perfectly. You said it a little differently, but you got to bring the ball to your body with your eyes. You got to bring that ball in with your eyes, and he's not doing it. And they're so simple. They're 5-yard, 6-yard A-dot throws. These aren't
screens.
These aren't down the field throws. He's got to get his shit together. And you were kind to James Conner. He's been looking like shit.
Yeah.
And I said possibly maybe a month ago to sell that guy, and he hasn't done anything.
No. Every running back they put in has looked bad.
Yeah. You want them, like you said, you want them playing their best football. And the thing that bothers me the most is what Ben said to Brooke Pryor after the game. It sounds like he's kind of lost his confidence. Now, I don't know the context because when a reporter types something that somebody said, you don't know the context. But what she typed was she asked Ben, hey, how'd it go? It looked like you guys were a little out of sync. You've had some drops. You look a little off. What's going on? He said, I'm just not that good.
I think the problem is again, when their running game struggles, Ben tends to struggle. So instead of having a running game now, they've started to go to this little dink and dunk system now in order to move the football, and I think it's actually throwing him off. And it just looks out of sorts. Like Claypool isn't going down the field like he was in the beginning of the year. Juju's been playing better. I mean, he's gonna have the quietest 100-yard receptions in the NFL right now.
That is exactly where I was about to go.
Okay.
The offense, this is what I see when I see Pittsburgh. When I watch Pittsburgh now, it's very predictable. It's all short passes. They're not challenging. I don't know if it's Big Ben can't hang in there, is afraid to take the hits at this stage in his career. But Randy Finkner has got to do something different. They had one completed third down against the Bills. And when they completed that third down, they left the fullback and the tight end both in the block. Juju ran a 15-yard crosser. It was one of the deepest plays they had all night, and Big Ben hit him, and they converted for a first down. They don't do any of that on a regular basis. They don't keep the tight end in. They don't keep the running back in and block. They don't use a fullback. They're very unimaginative on offense, and they're almost all pass. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of those short passes, people say, well, that supplements the run game, and that's designed to take the place of some of the run game. Bottom line is, if you can't run the football in the postseason, you can't win.
Yep.
And right now, they cannot run the ball. If it's Connor, if it's Snell, McFarland, Jalen Samuels, they've tried them all. Samuels got some runs against the Bills Monday night. He didn't move the ball either. And to me, it looks like a line issue. Now, they're plenty good at pass blocking. They can stand up and give Big Ben the time he needs. Like, he's getting it out faster than anybody. It's coming out of there because it's all short passes. But they're not challenging down the field. They're not doing the things that make Claypool special. And there's no imagination in this offense. And to me, they're going to have to change some of that up if they want to. Right now, there's a book on them, how to defend them. They've lost 2 in a row. It's up to them to adjust now.
Yep. One of the biggest things that I was worried about when this happened was the O-line, and that was Mike Munchak leaving. He is a phenomenal offensive line coach.
One of the best in the league.
And he gets
those like Denver Broncos.
See, there you go. When he was with us, our offensive line was like ranked number 1. Now, this offensive line hasn't changed a whole lot since he's gone. Their centerpieces are still there. DeCastro, Pouncey, so there's nothing different other than the offensive line coach, and that offensive line does not look good. So Munchak is a beast.
Great breakdown, guys. There's sometimes I just have to sit back and think, shut up, Paul, because you talking about the book on them needing to flip the script, the low ADOT, Ben's confidence, Munchak leaving, that line really hasn't changed. It's the scheme. All of those things is excellent analysis. If they don't do something really, really fast, they're going to be a one and done.
Yeah. This year, home field advantage in the playoffs isn't going to mean as what it used to mean.
No.
So, even if you're playing that one at home, it's not. And we've seen the Vegas lines adjust to this now. Home teams aren't getting 3 points this year. They're getting like 2. Because home field advantage doesn't mean there's no crowd.
Well, in the first slate last week, I believe 6 road teams won.
There you go. Okay, I want to move change a little bit. There's an owners meeting tomorrow. Do you guys know this?
No.
There's a virtual owners meeting tomorrow where they're going to discuss adding a 17th regular season game and permanently shortening the preseason. This would have a dramatic impact on rookies. And we talked about this a while ago where Jonathan Taylor, he didn't have that offseason. Cam Akers didn't have that offseason. They didn't have those preseason games to adjust. Is this a good thing moving forward? I don't know if there's going to be a vote tomorrow, but I do know that they're supposed to talk about this.
I think in terms of developing your rookies, developing your young guys, and camp and all that, sure, it could have an impact on that. But again, you're going to look at it very similar to the way we looked at it this year. From a fantasy standpoint, if you're drafting some of these rookies that are going into these situations, like, you're not going to be drafting them to be your number 1 running back, your number 2 running back. You're going to be looking to stash them on your bench as your like 3rd or 4th and see if they break out mid-season or towards the end of the year. I like to have it. I don't actually know what I kind of would rather have them have the preseason. And
I think I would too.
That way we could, because just as for what we do in terms of podcasting and everything else, that's a time when we get a lot of information. Yeah. And we get to see things before it happens. This year we didn't. So we were shooting our shots with just no tape, no nothing, and just saying, hey, maybe this is going to work. So I think it's actually would be beneficial to have the preseason rather than that extra week.
I think it could hurt some of the fringe guys. Jackson and I talked tonight on his pod about Lynn Bowden.
Yeah.
You look at a guy like that didn't have the preseason. I mean, they had him in the wrong position, first of all. Mm-hmm. The Redskins did it right. They took the Antonio Gibson, who was the Washington football team, we're supposed to say now, did it right, where they've got Antonio Gibson, who is a wide receiver, running back hybrid, and said, this guy's a running back. The Raiders did it wrong and said, we've got this wide receiver running back hybrid, and they had him on the running back squad. And I think maybe a preseason would have had the chance for them to move him around. Okay, this isn't working, because he obviously didn't work out there. They just dropped him. It's so rare for a team to draft a guy like that and then just drop him. Or did they trade him to the Dolphins? Was he traded? Or
I think they traded him to the Dolphins for like a late round pick.
I mean, if I was them, I'd be regretting that right now. And maybe the preseason would have given them a chance to say, okay, well, he's not working out as a running back. Let's put him out as a slot wide receiver. Chalk just jumped in the chat to say they absolutely did it wrong. Raiders wanted Bowden to be Antonio Gibson. Yeah. And really he's more of a slot wide receiver guy. So
it could have been Theo Riddick.
There you go. Just to speak to your point, a preseason would have given them more of an evaluation, and I don't think they would have traded him. They could use him right now.
Yep.
Yeah, he was one of the guys who I was interested to see where he wound up, and I was tickled to see him wind up with Gruden. So it was a surprise when they gave up on him so quickly.
I was tickled to see him on 2 waiver wires in dynasty leagues last week. Snatch that ass up. Did you know I got him in son of a gun?
Really?
The league where you have to start like 20 freaking dudes. I'm starting him next week. He's my 5th flex guy.
Wow. What a fucking, sometimes that just shows you, man. Even in the sharpest dynasty leagues, people can fall through the cracks.
People fall through the radar. I picked him up last week. I could not believe it. I picked him up in 2 leagues, and there's actually 1 more league that he's on waivers that I'm trying to pick him up on tonight. But I think that it can be a good thing, for the league and for their revenue, but a bad thing for the fringe players.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I want to circle back because we didn't mention the second half that Allen and Diggs.
Oh, it wasn't son of a gun. I'm sorry. It was Moose's tweet-ass Superflex league. But still a sharp dynasty league where you have to start 3 wide receivers and 4 flexes.
Isn't every league that we're in, we're starting multiple flexes in just about every league we're in together.
I love it.
Well, it makes sense because I was actually scoping Lynn Bowden last week, and I didn't see him in son of a gun. So that's why I was all fucking like, "What the fuck? You kidding me?"
No,
I'm not in the super flex league. I'm in Moose's tweet, but not the flex league.
Well, still, D-Jack's in that league. Term, you're in that league. DMIC Media, Fantasy Chief, Kevin Thompson. I mean, no offense, but you guys should have seen him out there and grabbed him. The Madge.
Yep.
Anyway, enough talk about Lynn Bowden. He is a great buy. Like
go
right now.
Go pursue your waiver wire and
see if he's there. And then when the draft comes up and people are eager for picks,
yes,
you might be able to throw a 4th rounder out there for him or something, for somebody that's just itching to have some picks that doesn't have any. I think Miami will use that guy next year.
I do too.
I want to circle back to this Pittsburgh and Buffalo game because I want to touch on Stefan Diggs.
Yes.
The second half that he had in this game, 7 for 92 and a touch. This is the rare case where a trade has worked out phenomenally for both teams.
Sure has.
Stefan Diggs has made a world of difference for Josh Allen, and the Vikings were able to get Justin Jefferson. And I don't think either of those teams would go back and undo that trade right now.
No, I don't think so. Diggs has been phenomenal. 134 targets, 100 catches, first year with Josh Allen in a COVID season on a quarterback that wasn't accurate. I mean, he's a stud, man. I get kudos to you, Term, because you were the one I was actually down on the Diggs from that trade, and you were like, you got to go get Diggs, man. He's going to be a baller this year, and I picked him up in quite a few dynasties because of you, and he's a league winner, man.
Thank you for that. Here's what I thought, and here's what I saw. Diggs is such a phenomenal route runner. He creates separation so easily and so tremendously that he would cover up Josh Allen's inaccuracy. Their downfield work was going to speak for itself. The stuff they could do underneath was going to be helped by what Diggs could do with his feet. And it's proven to be true. He's helped Allen out a lot. He's a lot more confident quarterback. Allen, in the second half of that game, when it was very much in doubt, he played great.
He did.
He made play after play, throw after throw. He's playing some really good football right now.
You're not wrong. I will point out, though, they had a nice graphic during the game about how Allen has fixed his throwing mechanics.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
through some excellent computer analysis of where to step through the throw, where to get his hips through the throw, when to release the ball, and all those things. It's funny because when they showed it, they cut to him throwing the ball live, and he totally had reverted back to his old throw. And the announcers were like, well, yeah, this isn't a good example. But if you watch throughout the game, that is what he's doing, and it's helping his accuracy a bunch. And yeah, Beezy said it. I was well with him on that camp of that. I wasn't down on him being a bust or anything, but I was definitely not high on him hitting this type of potential that you were, Term. I was worried about the climate. Some wide receivers, I painted this narrative, that wide receivers go to Buffalo and it gets cold, and some of them don't like that, and Josh Allen's not accurate, and all these things. Remember, my other issue was that him and John Brown kind of occupy the same space.
Yep.
That was bad analysis because Diggs is a much, much, much better wide receiver than John Brown is. And you're right. He's a technician route runner. He's fantastic. He's going to be linked to that young dynamic quarterback too for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I love Gabriel Davis. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I think we all do.
Give me all the Gaby Davis that you want to, please. I think that he can succeed there as a very, very nice wide receiver too. Compliment to Diggs, not getting the top coverage. I'm all in on that guy.
I think we were all on him before anyone else.
I do too. Yep.
Yeah. Gabby Davis and Darnell Mooney are two guys that we talked about very early.
Yep.
And they're both doing well. Gaby better than Mooney right now, but
Davis was a guy I went and took a long look at after Paulie, after you put me on him. And I loved what I saw. And hopefully you guys caught that. We talked about it on the pod. We talked about it. We had a couple of those clips that Justin made for us that we tweeted out for people to listen to. Hopefully you got this kid in a bunch of spots out there if you're in multiple dynasty leagues, because next year he's going to be the number 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're watching right now what he can do. He's going to flourish next to Diggs.
Jax does a great series called The Evolution of an Elite Dynasty Player. Yep. And it's a way to pinpoint people that have the traits that other elite players in the past have had. It's not saying that they're going to be elite, but it's saying that they check the boxes. And he has 5 boxes to check. And Gabriel Davis, literally the only box he doesn't check was draft capital, because he was drafted in the 4th round.
Yep.
And you could argue that he probably should have been drafted on day 1, so that he doesn't check that day 1 box, but you could kind of give him a pass for that. He checks all the other boxes as far as breakout age and speed and route running and everything else that he brings to the table. So, yeah, as much as I love Diggs, Gabby's a big part of that offense that you could get for much cheaper. And he's got a nice ceiling, really. I don't know that we've seen his ceiling yet, but the one that he's shown me, I've been really happy with. 18 or 20 points in limited usage.
Are the Bills the second best team in the AFC?
Right now, the way that defense is playing and the way, they're running, you say you have to have a running game. Josh Allen qualifies, right? And
Sure.
And their defense is there. They've got one of the best cornerbacks in the league in Trey White. Their wide receiver core is getting there. Dawson Knox has even been emerging here and being more relevant. And he should have caught a couple more balls last week. Allen had a couple rollouts where he rolled all the way out to the right side of the field and then threw across his body to the left side. Both times they were jump balls. Both times Dawson Knox didn't come down with the ball. But he has been a good red zone target and been better. So, and their running backs do what they ask them to do. They're not good for fantasy. Michelle from Ball Blast talked about it this week. We all have to just realize that they're not good fantasy players, but they do what the team asked them to do. At the end of that game, Zach Moss
closed it out. Yep, he closed it out
that game. So he didn't get you your fantasy points, but he got the team the win, and he did what the coach wanted him to do.
Yep, they turned around and they handed him the football, and everybody in the stadium knew they were going to hand him the football, and he run the clock out on the Steelers.
30 yards in the last 6 carries?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, they just turned around and he ground them up. Like you said, that you called this way earlier than anybody on this show anyway. You said those two would just do enough to pretty much fuck each other out of fantasy relevance.
And Josh Allen gets the goal line touches.
And that's exactly pretty much what has happened. It's not that either of them are bad players. It's just that they're not helping you. What they do well to help their team can't be quantified in a fantasy football statistic.
Right.
We haven't figured out a way to do that yet. When we do, we'll let you guys know.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing in points per carry leagues, we haven't figured that out yet, but we're working on it. Okay. Paulie, this is normally the portion of the program where you hit us with some cornerback and wide receiver matchups for the coming week. Did you have any of those you wanted to throw at us?
Not ready at this time. No.
All right. Well, you can just edit this out then, Professor. I mentioned this earlier. My wolf of the week is Dan Bailey. The Vikings went down to Tampa and they played the Buccaneers in Tom's backyard toe-to-toe. And if they'd had a kicker, they might even have won.
Yep.
Dalvin Cook moved the ball. I mean, he didn't look great, but that defense is stout against the run. But he had his moments. Kirky had his moments. They played pretty well, all except for the kicker, and I was really surprised that he still had a job on Monday. Woof.
Woof.
Woof. Did you have a woof, Beezy?
Beezy woofed. I didn't woof. I'm looking up.
I was actually my woof was just Lamar Jackson going to take a dump. That was actually going to be my woof because it probably cost a few people those close matchups. Probably cost them a championship.
I lost 2 playoff games to you this week, Beezy. Not really happy about it, but I'll give you your props.
Thank you, sir. I wasn't going to mention them. I was going to just let that, no need to mention it. You know what I mean? I'm not the kind of guy that loves it. You can marinate on it.
Jax that I beat him twice this week and knocked him out of 2. I was nice to him.
Paulie, you and I got a couple big ones this week.
We do.
It's going to be a long weekend.
We do. I had a little bit of a break last week. The bye weeks will give you a little.
It's nice, isn't
it? I'm still alive in 26 playoffs.
Nice.
What about Scott Fishbowl, bro?
I advanced in the fish bowl once more.
Nice.
I am on to round 15, week 15.
Nice.
I played against your advice. I played Sam Darnold. I had Brandon Allen in all week and took him out on Sunday during Tinker Time, what Howard, our friend Howard, likes to call Tinker Time, right before kickoff. And Brandon Allen scored 21 points, and Sam Darnold scored -2. And I thought for all the world it was going to cost me my spot in the playoffs, but I still scored 180 points.
Why didn't you listen to me?
I don't know, man.
Hey, shout out to Sour Kraus. He was in our listener league, if you remember. He is in our listener league and is still in the playoffs. He is third overall in the Scott Fishbowl Satellite right now.
Good for him.
In the Satellite.
In the Satellite, yeah, which is like the best ball.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's I wanted to give him a shout out because he did our listener league and he got to the playoffs and he's still in it. But he might win the Scott Fishbowl Satellite, which would be huge. Well, good luck to you, man.
Term, you and I meet this week in the Unscripted League.
In the listener league?
Yeah, I won this week. I blew out Shawnee Manziel.
I will say I do not expect, even though I dominated the regular season, I do not expect to win the listener league because I lost Carson Wentz and I only have one quarterback. I did pick up Brandon Allen, but he plays the Steelers this week. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have traded me for Derek Carr. I got 3 quarterbacks in that league.
I had 3 quarterbacks until I lost Burrow.
We didn't make it very fun for the listeners because it's us 3 and Sauerkraus.
Well, our listeners need to step their game up.
I beat buy and sell you this week. And Wilson didn't make it, man. That's the team that if he could have made it, he might have made some noise, but he didn't get in. And Beasley beat Shawnee Manziel, so it's Term versus Beasley and me versus Sauer Kraus this week.
Ooh.
League. So good luck.
It's safe to say that one of us is probably going to win the listener league.
Yeah, I mean, you would think so. But good luck to you, Sauer Kraus, and really, really good job in that Scott Fishbowl Satellite, man. I'm proud of you for that. That's I'm not a best ball guy, so I couldn't imagine ever doing that well. So he has Matt Stafford, Derrick Henry. Yeah,
I don't think Stafford's going to play this week.
Oh, okay.
No.
He's got Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake, Adam Thielen, Stefan Diggs, Wayne Gallman, Deontay Johnson. Alex Smith is one of his quarterbacks. Oh, and Mike Glennon is one of his other quarterbacks.
He's not going to play this week for sure.
Has Jimmy Garoppolo on IR and Julio on IR. Oh, sorry, Sauer Kraus. That sounds more sour than you really want it to be. You're going to lose, buddy.
I think we should reseed the listener league. I should get Sauer Kraus.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Why, you don't want this heat?
No, I don't.
We're not reseeding.
I want a bye week. I mean, I've finished first in the regular season. I deserve it.
You had a bye week.
I want to.
You want to go right to the ship?
I want to be like Lamar. Take me right to the ship. Yeah, I mean, ship.
Yeah, the ship. Right. That was awesome. Run it like Lamar.
He went from the penthouse to the outhouse.
He sure did. Oh, shit.
Literally.
What else we got? Hold on. Something.
TY Best Western. I kill myself.
TY Best Western. Oh man, I actually sat him like a fucking idiot in one of the leagues, and he would have been the deciding factor for me moving on to another
sleeper.
Playoff. Yeah,
sleeper. If I get one more basketball league notification,
dude, it's pissing me off.
Chunk of my phone out the damn window.
Yes, I don't want to play your fucking basketball game. Just to run down real fast, man. Two guys I'm excited for coming in the end of the year here. David Montgomery and Mike Davis. Both are pumping up some numbers right now. Mike Davis is at RB7. Montgomery's at RB8. These guys got some phenomenal schedules. Minnesota and Jacksonville for money.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I wanted to touch on the Montgomery, the Bears in general, with Trubisky and Montgomery and how good they've looked without Matt Nagy's dumbass calling plays.
Yeah. What a difference, huh?
Yeah. What a difference. I still don't understand how Montgomery didn't have more yards than he did on Sunday.
I don't know how to say how he didn't have more carries.
Well, that's
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But they literally ran away. They got away from the run game. I mean, Allen Robinson had a big day, but they basically, I think he had 11 carries. I mean, I don't. That's the stuff I don't get. But he made the best with his opportunity, and he's been pretty good in the passing game too. So, giving him a nice ceiling.
Three guys you should be able to lean on heavily. Is Montgomery in your playoffs? Montgomery, Rojo, Leonard Fournette was a healthy scratch Sunday.
Yeah, that's wild, huh?
Completely wild. And of course, Derrick Henry.
Yep.
Man, Nick Chubb is just so good.
Nick Chubb is a stud, man. He had a good game yesterday.
Oh, God. I think he might be my favorite player, non-49er in the NFL.
Oh, nice.
He's just so good, man.
I don't know. I don't know who it was last. Not that I'm looking to call anybody out, but right before halftime, somebody was saying like how Kareem Hunt was basically irrelevant with Nick Chubb and then the second half, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb both just ate. Kareem rolled, dude, and it's like
Kareem Hunt has looked his best when Nick Chubb is in the game.
I agree with that.
Those weeks that Chubb was on IR and Hunt was the lone guy back there, he wasn't doing so hot.
No, he wasn't. He had because I had him on our listener league and he was killing me.
Yeah.
I'm ready to talk about some matchups if you want.
Sure, man. Hit us with it.
Get it.
So some wide receiver cornerback matchups this week to watch out for. Some pretty big ones. You've got DeAndre Hopkins versus Darius Slay, who Slay is not what he was at the beginning of the year. So he's not really that scary of a matchup if people are, looking at DFS type things. Obviously, you're not fading him in your, season longs and dynasties, but I wouldn't shy away from that matchup.
And it seems like you mentioned Hopkins every week in this segment. Like every week he's going against somebody.
Yep.
This was one of the reasons why we all sort of were down on him this preseason. Like you look at some of the guys he's got to face on a week-to-week basis, and he goes out there and he does his thing. But sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Calvin Ridley gets Carlton Davis, and Matt Ryan is obviously not ever going to hit his peak without Julio on the field. I mean, that's been pretty evident. But this is a good matchup for Ridley. And would you say that it's pretty confident, that Ridley's going to get 8 targets this week?
I feel pretty confident in it, yeah.
Wouldn't you say that without Julio on the field, he's going to get 8 targets?
Yeah.
Term, what do you think?
Who are they playing again?
The Bucks.
The Bucks. Probably.
I would say it's pretty much a lock that he's going to get 8 targets. And he has a whole career of games with 8 targets. So he has 16 games where he's had 8 targets, 109 catches for 1,679 yards and 15 touchdowns.
Here's the thing:
7 catches for 105 and almost a touchdown in those games. So I think he will smash this week by a lot.
Here's the thing about that: the Bucks know that, let's bracket. Let's put some bracket coverage and some coverage over the top of Calvin Ridley and make Russell Gage beat us.
You're right, and they quieted Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen last week.
And Matt Ryan is not the kind of guy who's just going to force it to Calvin Ridley.
Oh, he's horrible.
This I wanted to ask you guys. This made me. We talked about this about how much Julio impacts Matt Ryan. How much could in his prime, healthy Julio Jones help someone like Mitch Trubisky?
Oh,
Probably.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Mitch Trubisky is sort of an athletic. He's an athletic Matt Ryan, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And they're sort of the Trubisky can make some plays with his feet that Matt Ryan can't.
Also, they're probably losing Allen Robinson, so that wouldn't be
a bad spot.
That wouldn't be a bad spot.
Nope.
Well, Trubisky's a free agent.
Okay.
What's to say? What's to say a team like Atlanta wouldn't,
take a shot on?
I was thinking Julio to the Bears, right? And Trubisky to Atlanta.
Yeah, come sit behind Matt Ryan for a year or two, or let's see if we can resurrect you. Sort of like the way Winston's doing. For whatever reason, I'm just not ready to light a torch to Mitch Trubisky. Maybe it's the fact that he only started like 12 college games, and maybe it's the fact that he was drafted way higher than he should have been, or maybe it's the fact that he spent his entire career with a couple of boobs in the front office and as a head coach. But I just still feel like in the right situation, he could be a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's way off topic. Sorry.
By the way, let me
baby. That's how we do.
Let me just throw out really quick to Shawnee Manziel again, because this poor guy, he got hit with the Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage stack because Brandon Cooks went out, and I had to start them both in the unscripted league, and Russell Gage threw a touchdown to Calvin Ridley.
Oh,
and
what
that
a stack. The Gage to Ridley stack.
I had it happen in 4 leagues, all because of Brandon Cooks being out or somebody being out. I had to start him.
Well, I've got all the Gage, and I started him everywhere too, man. The first time I started him was like his breakout week, and the people that I was playing against were like, "How did you put this guy in the lineup, man?" Like, yeah, I love me some Gage. We're going to get back to the cornerback matchups.
Go ahead.
2 weeks ago, I tweeted out, right before I went to the casino, I tweeted out, start T.Y. Hilton. Shut down my phone, shut down my Twitter. Didn't say anything. There were people that did throw up emojis. There were people that did, all these like walk away emojis. There were people that said, Paulie, I love you, man. I love your advice, but I gotta wonder about this one. And I had
what I did?
You started T.Y.
I started T.Y. Hilton.
So I didn't respond to all those people because I love them all. But there was one guy that said, Paulie, I love you, but can you explain this play? And I didn't have time because, like I said, I just tweeted it and I went to the casino and got my day going.
T.Y. had your back, though. He explained it.
And I came back to all these mentions and all these retweets and all these, this is why Paulie's the man and blah, blah, blah. But the only one that I responded to was the guy that said, can you explain yourself? And I commented back to him and said, hey, man, no disrespect. Do I ever have to explain myself ever again? And he came back and he said, no, sir, you did not. And I started T.Y. Hilton. Thank you very much. But really, it wasn't some expert, amazing, smash, crazy, great analysis. He's been emerging. He's been getting healthier. He's been getting more targets. And it's against the Texans.
The Texans. He owns the Texans.
Literally has stock in their team's ownership. Like he's just absolutely goes bonkers against those guys. But last week he did it again too against the Raiders, 5 for 85 and 2 touchdowns. So start T.Y. Hilton against Vernon Hargreaves again this week. They're not going to be able to have any kind of answer for that guy. Here's
like I said,
they're versus your Richard Sherman.
They get, like I said, the Texans get about as much pressure as a hotel shower head. So.
Right. Amari Cooper versus your Richard Sherman is actually a pretty large downgrade for him. Michael Gallup has a tough matchup against Jason Verrett too. CD has the best lineup against Dante Johnson. So if you had to pick one Dallas wide receiver this week, CD's got the best matchup by far. Moving on to the Broncos, Tim Patrick has a horrible matchup against Trey White this week. So this could be another KJ Hamler week. Jerry Jeudy's been battling some injuries, and he's going against Josh Norman. You've got KJ Hamler going against Taron Johnson, who's a rookie, who's been making a lot of tackles and making some plays, but he's been giving up a bunch of big plays too. Stefan Diggs has a good matchup this week against Devon Bowsey. Cole Beasley has a good matchup this week. Gabriel Davis has a good matchup this week. Denver's secondary is horrible, and they've been losing guys. They've lost guys to IR. They've been losing guys to injuries left and right. So the Bills matchup this week is great. Robbie Anderson's got a tough matchup against Jari Alexander. So that's a tough one. If you've got a start-sit decision, I would I'd start T.Y. Hilton over Robbie Anderson, obviously, but there's a lot of other guys. Like, would I start Cole Beasley over Robbie Anderson this week? Yeah, I think I would. Darnell Mooney has a great matchup against Chris Jones. Minnesota's secondary is not that good. Allen Robinson's got a good matchup against Cameron
That's
Davis.
one way to say it. Not that good.
They're not that good.
They're not that good.
Cleveland's going against the Giants this week. We all know James Bradbury is a beast, probably the best corner in the league right now. So I would ease back off of Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Higgins.
Yeah, don't chase the points with Donovan Peoples-Jones. Jarvis Landry and Higgins both have great matchups against Isaac Yiadom and Xavier McKinney. So it's a Landry and Higgins week if that turns into a shootout.
Higgins
quick.
I want to mention this. Higgins, the last 2 weeks, he's had 6 receptions both weeks. He's had at least 70 yards both weeks, and he scored.
There you go.
Consecutive weeks. He's hot right now.
There you go. So who's playing for Detroit this week? Is it going to be Colt McCoy?
Probably.
No, he plays for the Giants.
Oh, okay. Chase Daniel.
Chase Daniel.
Chase Daniel. Do you think he can get the ball to Marvin Jones?
Former Missouri Tiger. I don't think Chase Daniel can get the ball to Chase Daniel.
No.
Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable starting anybody not named DeAndre Swift.
Yep.
Okay. There you go. Well,
personally, if Stafford doesn't play.
Not that anybody can guard Devontae Adams, but Troy Pride Jr. from Carolina is going to be struggling. So Devontae is going to smash again. That's expert analysis right there.
Hey, remember what we say when these wide receivers have to play against these top cornerbacks. These top cornerbacks have to play against these wide receivers too.
Right.
Like, they have a tough matchup as well.
Right.
It's not like they're lining up against Chris Hansen out there.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So when we tell you, hey, this guy has a tough matchup, and then he goes out there and he smashes anyway. I mean, yes, that happens
all the time. When I tweet it out, this is not the be all end all.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
something to consider.
Once the ball snaps, it's a whole different ball game. Now the Jets have been pretty good against the run, so everybody has just been throwing all over them because their secondary is #bad. I'm loving a DFS lineup this week with a big stack of Goff and his wide receivers because Blesson Austin, Javelin Gowdry, Bryce Hall, none of those guys even cracked the top 100 for cornerback ratings. So anybody you want to put out there, Josh Reynolds, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, I think they're in smash spots big time. Miami's guys have a tough matchup against New England. The Minnesota guys have a tough matchup against Chicago. Kyle Fuller and Jalen Johnson are good.
You mentioned Bryce Hall. Shout out Bishop McDevitt High School, University of Virginia, ACC, baby.
Yep. And Ruggs has COVID, huh?
Ruggs has COVID. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who are they going to throw out there this week? Jordy Nelson?
Man Bear Pig.
Man Bear Pig. Man Bear Pig.
Is that Renfro or Aguilar?
Al Gore.
Al Gore's going against Casey Hayward Jr., so that's not too good.
Give me Man Bear Pig. He can handle it.
Yeah,
not Casey Hayward Jr. He can't.
Man, he's gonna fuck Casey Hayward Jr. up.
I don't know about all that, man.
Nothing stops Man Bear Pig.
Renfro has a tough matchup against Chris Harris too, who's one of the best slot cornerbacks in the league. And I don't know who's going to be playing in place of Henry Ruggs, but
would you waste
Brian
Chris
Edwards.
Harris? Would you waste Chris Harris on Renfro?
Well, he's a slot corner, so he's going to go against their slot guy. I mean, it's really more about positional matchups.
I just think he's talented enough to play. I don't
think they're going to week 15 say, "Hey, Chris Harris, you're playing on the outside." I'm sorry.
I've seen him play on the outside of week 15, obviously, or I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, all right.
He is a predominantly slot corner. Yes, you are correct, but he has played on the outside.
Well, when you have Casey already locking up Aguilar and you've got Ruggs out, what would be the reason to move him outside to guard Brian Edwards, who hasn't played all year?
I don't know. When Man Bear Pig starts to dominate,
you keep calling him that.
What's his name?
That's his name.
You're the one that's screwing it up, Paulie.
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson actually has a tough matchup this week against William Jackson.
Against his hands.
And his hands and his eyes. So that's a bad one. Brandon Ayuk. Dallas secondary is not good. Brandon Ayuk has a great matchup this week against Salvin Smith.
16 targets last week.
Jesus Christ.
Kyle Shanahan came out and said Deebo Samuel will not play unless we make the playoffs, which means Deebo Samuel is not playing until next year.
I'm sorry, Paulie, real quick. Any news on Mostert?
I think he's going to play. I think he'll be all right.
They're going to use him. They've been using Jeff Wilson a bunch.
That's what I was kind of getting at.
Mostert got 14 carries Sunday, so it's not like they didn't play him.
Right.
He got, I think it was like 14 for 68 yards or something like that. The thing about the 49ers is that we all realize the 49ers aren't making the playoffs. These guys continue to get injured. There's really no reason to keep running them out there.
Right.
I think Mostert is going to play, but if he suffers another injury during the game, they're not going to stress it.
If he's out, would you feel comfortable starting Jeff Wilson this week?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would too.
I'm starting Jeff Wilson anyway in a couple spots.
I think he'll get 15 touches.
He's going to get the goal line work.
We're almost done. DK's got a tough matchup against Kendall Fuller. Not that that's scaring you away.
Hashtag play him anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You're still playing him, but a lot of times when I do these cornerback matchups, we're looking for plus matchups for DraftKings too. So I'm not benching him, but am I spending $8,500 for him on DraftKings? Probably not.
Probably not.
Tyler Lockett has a great matchup because the slot is where to attack Washington. Jimmy Moreland is not good. So Tyler Lockett could have a nice week.
I love when you say not good.
Tampa Bay, they all have a great matchup against Atlanta. That secondary is horrible. The worst matchup / best for the wide receivers is Chris Godwin. Their slot cornerback, Isaiah Oliver, is horrible. But the guy checking Antonio Brown, AJ Terrell, Darqueze Dennard's not good. So Mike Evans, all those guys are good, but Chris Godwin's actually got a smash spot. So like for DFS, since Mike Evans is always more expensive, I might play Godwin this week. Tennessee going against Detroit, AJ Brown. Again, you're not, starting or benching this guy based on matchups, but I would pay up for him on DFS because he's got a great matchup against Darrell Roberts.
AJ Brown is this generation's LaShawn McCoy. If you had LaShawn McCoy back in the day, it was best not to watch LaShawn McCoy play football because he was forever writhing in pain like the cart was about to come out for him 1 minute, and the next minute he was right back in the game. LaShawn McCoy was the world's worst for thinking your season was over 25 times during the season. A.J. Brown is the same way. You watch this kid play, and he's limping off the field every other play. It's like they didn't even throw it to you, dude. What is wrong with you? Then the very next play, he's out there catching a 50-yard touchdown.
That
So,
reminds me of Big Ben too, like 2017, 2018, 2019. It seems like Ben, like once a game, just looked like he broke his freaking kneecap and he'd go down and then he'd be out there the next series.
yeah.
Um,
So don't watch AJ Brown, but draft AJ Brown.
right. The only other one to highlight, Terry McLaurin has been not good lately, but he's got a great matchup against DJ Reed this week against from Seattle. So he could bounce back this week in a plus matchup.
Remember that Haskins will be the quarterback this week for Washington.
He knows who Terry McLaurin is, though. He's met him, right?
Yeah, once or twice.
A time or three.
God, because in those buys that I had, I probably got McLaurin on half those teams, and I'm gonna have to play him.
Yep. Oh shit, Stafford.
I've ate chili for 3 nights in a row.
No, you're gonna be pulling Lamar soon, dude.
Glad I'm not in your house. You're gonna put those brand new commodes
Sunday, and I've had chili for dinner 3 nights in a row.
Those brand new commodes are about to get put to the test.
Dude, they ain't brand new anymore.
I can hear Scotty in the background. I can't do it, Captain.
Yeah. I've been taking Lamar Jacksons all day, man.
Dude, I had chicken habanero tacos, so I'm trying to avoid taking a dump tonight. try to let it marinate in there for a few days and cool the heat down. Gonna need baby wipes, dude. Wolf.
I had chicken wings with Bo's hot sauce tonight.
Oh, so you're in the same boat.
You're never gonna meet 3 guys that probably have the worst diet that you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, we're good for fantasy football.
Not about what we've eaten, and we've eaten the worst things. We eat tacos and chili and wings.
Hashtag no neck crew, dude.
The no neck crew is making it happen, baby.
Yes, sir.
Oh man. Okay, we're gonna get on out of here. We had a lot of fun tonight. Hope you did too. Remember, the best fantasy discussions are unscripted.
Some dude I don't know hopped on the comments here. That was kind of cool.